morning. My name is Kathy Liriano. I'm the Communications Administrator for the Coral Springs Police and Fire Department. It was just another normal day when I was walking in the hallway from my office to the comm center, because I always go and check on everyone, periodically throughout the day, and I hear all the phone line rings, and I look out at the phone screen. I'm like, why are all those lines lit? So I run out there, pick up the phone, and I hear the commotion in the room, and through the phone, it echoed in the room with everyone picking it up, the gunshots. So at that point, once I picked up the phone, and I spoke to a female, she was a teacher, and she had told me, we have an active shooter at the school, and I have students that have been hit. So immediately I was like, okay, this is the real thing. This is what we've trained for. And we're lucky enough in our department that we actually get to train with our fire and police department. Every time they go to training, they always try to get us out there just to get that perspective of the dispatch side. So we get to visually see what they're going through so that we can kind of mentally prepare for what they're going to be experiencing as best as we can. So that day I knew, okay, I know my people are ready for this. My team, they were just picking up phones after phone call after phone call. We were inundated with 911 calls that day, and each one of us did the best that we could answering the calls. When I answered my call, I was on the phone with a teacher, and she had told me that, she confirmed one of her students had been shot. It had gone through the door and the window of her classroom door, and I asked her, is there any way that you can go help? And she said, I can't help him right now. And they were hiding behind the desk in her classroom. There was half of her class there, and then the other half was at the other side of the classroom hiding in another area. At that point, when I continued my conversation with her, they realized there was other kids that already had been shot as well. She started canvassing the room, and I asked if she could apply pressure to any of the wounds, and unfortunately it would risk her or other students at that time, since we didn't know where the shooter was in the school. We kept getting calls from parents and also students trying to figure out what exactly was going on. And we were in communication with Broward Sheriff's Office Communications Unit as well, trying to relay information, because our dispatch center dispatches for Coral Springs Parkland Fire Department. So, we got the call in for service and dispatch fire rescue as soon as possible, because we knew this is the real deal. This is what we've trained for. I'm very grateful for our department, both police and fire, because they have always been inclusive in the training. They have included us with the CISM, which is the Crisis Intervention Team. And since the day of the incident, they have been supportive of us and making sure that my team had the support they needed emotionally to be able to deal with the after. A lot of people don't realize that we take the calls, we hear it first. We always say we're the first responder, because we're the ones relaying the information to the officers from the victims that are on scene. So we have the first intelligence for them before they go arrival. And we just want to make sure we had the best information for them, because at that point, there's an active shooter, and it's our brothers and sisters that are going in there risking their lives to save these kids.
Any estimate of how many calls you got, ballpark, of how many calls?
We're not discussing numbers.
You're not?
No.
Yeah, we're working on releasing that packet, and you'll know the numbers, the timeline, everything.
And also, who was the very first caller? Was it Jeff Heinrich, the officer, or was it that teacher in the classroom?
I don't think we can even give that specific answer because of the calls coming into Broward Sheriff's Office as well as the Coral Springs Police Department. So it'd be a timeline once we get everything together. I don't know if that'll be readily available.
But you said the first call that you took, you could hear the gunshots?
We could hear the gunshots immediately as soon as the phones were getting picked up, and since everyone's picking up the phones because it was all ringing at the same time, you can hear the echo of the gunshots throughout the room. So automatically we knew this is not a drill, this is real. So automatically we just want to make sure we let the officers know this is real. Also our firefighter paramedics, because they're going in there, unarmed with no vests, And so we just want to make sure that they all knew what information they needed so they stayed safe as best as they could.
Oh, I'm assuming that most of the calls that you get, normally, the incident has already occurred, and they're calling 911. You were placed there through the phone as the incident was going down, and you're hearing the gunshots. I know you guys try to keep the people on the phone line calm, and you try and help them help others. How difficult was it to keep your composure and try and talk this teacher through this horrific incident?
When I realized this was the real deal, I took a deep breath because in my mind, I always try to put myself in the other person's shoes. I'm like, she's actively seeing it, what she's going through. I have to make sure that I remain calm at all times, because if I show any type of emotion, I don't want her to react or, to get more upset or, start to, freak out over something that I know I can control, and I've been trained to do that. I just want to make sure. A lot of people, we always say in dispatch, we're the calm voice during the storm, and we really are, and we have to maintain our composure, and we train our people to do that, because even on the radio when we're talking to our officers and paramedics, we always have to make sure that our tone is at a different tone, because if we get excited, they get excited, and we just have to make sure that their concentration is full the entire time they're in that incident. They have to make sure that they go and, eliminate the threat that was happening that day. So our composure is key during the entire incident, on the radio, on the phones, talking to victims, families of victims, and the teachers, everyone that was actively on scene.
As the day went on, I'm sure the calls started coming in as active shooter, but as the day went on, were you still receiving calls from either parents who were looking for their kids, or were you receiving phone calls later in the day about the shooting that weren't while the shooting was actually taking place?
We're still receiving calls, so it hasn't stopped. We have a very supportive community that's very supportive, our communication center. We're very proud to have our own communication center in the city of Coral Springs and be able to service Parkland for fire services. So, we were ready for this in the sense of our training and making sure that we did our best. And when we got the calls in throughout the day, throughout the night, is making sure that we had the best information to give them, and then give them to the right resources or where they needed to be to, meet up with their children, families, and so forth.
How are you doing now?
How am I doing now? I'm okay. I'm just grateful that the city has the counselors that they have provided, because we're able to vent, and we have been able to vent as a group. That's how most of us cope, even with other calls that we've done in the past, is we talk to each other, and we are our best support system. We've have a lot of support system nationally from other agencies. I've been in communications with the director from Las Vegas from their incident, saying, I know what you're going through. We support you. Sorry. And so it's refreshing to hear that even though they're so far away, they understand how we feel, and that what we're feeling is normal. And what was refreshing is after the incident, and we did our debriefing, the counselors that we had, the professionals that we had, told us exactly what feelings we were going to be feeling, what emotions were going to take place, what your body goes through after a traumatic incident. And it went exactly how they told me. So it was nice to know that our department was prepared for something like this, to let us know this is normal what you're feeling after a traumatic event, because when we're going through it, you're kind of on autopilot. You're just doing until the task is complete. So that's what it was. We were just going with what we knew, and now it's just dealing with the after. And I just want to make sure my staff is supported. In our own team, we have our own CISM person, critical incident person. So we have been prepared, and I just applaud our command staff for knowing that that's what our department has needed before this incident even happened. So we were prepared. And, not every department is fortunate to have that, but we are.
Did she ask you, what should I do? And what did you tell her?
She didn't ask what to do. She just was on the phone. She just told me where she was in the classroom. She told me the classroom she was in. And I just told her, just keep your kids safe. Just hide behind the desk. If you can't get to the one that was injured, just hide, keep quiet as best as you can. because, we were getting information that he was possibly back in that floor where she was at. So I was just making sure, I'm like, just keep your kids quiet, make sure no one moves. I can hear you breathing, and that's all I need to hear. And once police got there and they cleared her room, I heard them through the phone, and I just took a sigh of relief. I'm like, okay, she's okay. And then after that, I was on the radio with fire and with the incident commander. We did a team effort. We grouped two people per radio, 3 on police main channel, and made sure that we had the support we needed to make sure that if one missed it, the other one got it, just because we knew the magnitude of this incident. We had a lot of people there in the room working that day, and I'm just blessed of the staff that I have. They're just amazing.
Did she ever ask you, should we barricade the door? Should we try to go out the window? Is she trying to go through this process with you about what are our options? What's the best way to handle this? And what did you tell her?
One of my first questions to her was, have you ever been trained for active shooter? She said yes. So she knew what to do. She was prepared, and she was keeping her kids safe during that time. So I was confident when I was talking to her that we were keeping the students that were still okay as safe as we could throughout the call. And she's, to be honest, the teachers and the teacher I spoke to, they are the heroes. They kept as many of their kids safe in that building that day, and they need to be applauded because they did the best that they could with what they had.
So police were feeding you information to then relay to her to make sure that at no point they got up to get out to...
Exactly. I just want to make sure that she stayed where she needed to be safe, because you can't just run out because we don't know where the shooter is, and the police is still clearing the building. And if by any chance they don't know where the suspect is, if there's a group of kids coming out, they don't know if, maybe they had gone into that classroom or whatever the case is. So we just want to make sure, stay still, don't move until police clears your room. That's the most important part. Once you see law enforcement, then, you'll be safe.